Hello. 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 Can all of you hear me? Okay. So, a very good evening to all of you. Welcome to the class. Hope all of you are doing good and can hear me clearly. Right. So, we will continue from where we have stopped in the last class. Right. So, if you remember, in the last class, we were discussing about budgets and budgetary control. Right. So, we have discussed certain types of budgets like personal budgets, cost of production budget, purchase budget, sales budget, production budget, right? And we have stopped over here at capital expenditure budget, if you remember. Alright? Hello. So any doubts till now anyone has? Siddharth says no. What about others? Any doubts till now? Okay. Okay, so let's start the class. So today we will so the first budget that we will be discussing today is about capital expenditure budget. Kelvin has joined us, right? Can can anyone tell me what is a capital expenditure budget? Kelvin, good evening. Can you hear me? Okay. Can anyone tell me what is capital expenditure budget? Or give me an example. See, the capital expenditure budget identifies the amount of cash a company will invest in project and long-term assets, right? Or we can say they, these are the funds or the money used by a company or an organization to acquire or upgrade their physical assets such as property, industrial buildings or equipment. It, right, they are used to undertake new projects or investment by the firm. Let me write it down. Or we can also say that these are the money used by the organization to uh, these are the money which helps the organization in the growth of an organization, right? Yes. Can you see capital expenditure or capex are funds used by a company to acquire or upgrade physical assets such as property, industrial buildings or equipment. It is often used to undertake new projects or investment by the firm. This type of outlay is also made by companies to maintain or increase the scope of their operations. These expenditures can include everything from repairing a roof to building, right, to purchasing a piece of an equipment or building a brand new factory. Shiraj is asking, is it the investment plan of the organization? Yes, we can say that. But the company will only invest in the new project where they expect to get returns out of it. Clear, everyone? So don't get confused with between capital expenditure and revenue expenditure, right? Both of them are different things. Can anyone tell me the difference between capital expenditure and revenue expenditure? The difference. Revenue for that particular year only, but capital is for long run. Yes, very good. Any other difference? Item and this item. Capital expenditure used for new projects or investment. Yes. Let's see over here. Capital expenditure should not be confused with revenue expenditure or operating expenses, right, which is also called OPEX. Revenue expenses are shorter term expenses required to meet the ongoing operational cost of running a business, and therefore they are essentially identical to operating expense, right? Unlike capital expenditure, revenue expenses can be fully tax deducted in the same year in which the expenses occur, right? So revenue expenses are for short term periods, right, for meeting the operational cost of running a business, right, whereas capital expenditures are for the long term. Yes, correct. Okay, let me show you how a capital expenditure budget looks like. Let me show you. One second, let me upload the file. It says revenue expense is expense incurred to earn revenue. Yes. Okay. So this is an example of how I don't know how many of you can see it. 1 second. Yes. It's not very clear, but it's readable. Can all of you see it? So this is how it looks like. So you can see capital expenditure projects greater than $50 million. Right. So here they have estimated the cost which will go in this project. Right. So this is the power generation. This is for transportation. This is for health facilities. Right. This is for educational facilities and so on. So this is how it looks like, because it's a long-term investment for the company. Yes, Sriraj, correct. Clear, everyone? Only depend on charge to P&L. What do you mean by P&L, Sriraj? What is P&L? I did not get that part. Right, so this is how a capital expenditure budget looks like. Depreciation to profit and loss account. Yes, correct. Got it. Right, so we can read it here. Capital expenditure budget. This is an important budget providing for acquisition of assets necessitated by the following factors. Replacement of existing assets. Suppose if the existing assets are outdated, right, or does not align with the present requirement, right? Like suppose if any industry is using a machine which was bought 15 or 20 years back, but which has no use now, right? And a new and an upgraded version of that machine is available, right? Which can work faster, then uh, it is it is advisable to replace that existing machine, right? That is what we mean by replacement of existing assets. B. Purchase of additional assets to meet increased production. If the organization feels that the demand of their goods is high in the market and they need to speed up their production process, right? So in that scenario as well, they can go for additional assets which helps in the production process, right, for in increasing the quantity of units produced, quantity of goods produced. That can be another scenario. Clear, everyone? Expansion of business. Yes, correct. Who is with the name MBA class? What's your name? Oh, my voice sounds too tired. 1 second. Is it so? Is it better now? Okay, now. Okay. So this is about expenditure budget. Okay, point C is also left. Installation of improved type of machinery to reduce cost. Right. Now there are certain equipments which are there in the market available. Right. By using that we can reduce the manpower cost. Right. When the manpower cost will be reduced, then the cost of operation will also be reduced. Right. So company also plans for such type of equipments which can speed up the production process as well as reduce the operational cost of the organization. So their profits will increase. This is what capital expenditure budget is. Any doubt so far? Now, can all of you give me one example of capital expenditure budget? Give me one example. Let's see. Putting a solar panel, okay. Budget for purchasing furniture and fixtures, okay. Any other example? Budget for purchasing furniture, that is done Ramakrishnan. So purchase of land and buildings, okay. Machinery, okay. Correct. Sales of goods, correct. Okay, so all of you are correct. Okay, MBA class has joined. Who is there with the name MBA class? In upgrading technologies, we can write. Earlier we were using Windows 97, Windows 2001, but nowadays Windows 8 is available, right, which works at a faster pace than those. Similarly, there are many other technologies available which works at a faster speed than the technologies. Should I proceed to the next budget? Okay. Next type of budget is cash budget. What do we mean by cash budget? Does anyone have any idea? Yes, everyone. Producing budget for the day-to-day expenses, estimation of cash and cash equivalents for the running of day-to-day business. An example? An example anyone would like to give? Receipts and payments. Okay. About estimation of income and expenditure in cash for a set of period. Providing budget for the purchase of office stationery, etc. Okay. Payment to creditors. Correct. Good. Now let me explain. See, a cash budget is an estimation of the cash inflow or the cash which is coming and outflow, means the cash which is going, for a business or individual for a specific period of time. Right? So it is nothing but the estimation of the cash inflow and cash outflow. Cash budgets are used to assess whether the entity has sufficient cash to fulfill regular operations of the organization or not. Let me write it down. Clear? Payment to creditors. One second. This is the basic definition of cash budget. An estimation of the cash inflows and outflows for a business or individual for a specific period of time. Cash budgets are often used to assess means examine whether the entity has sufficient cash to fulfill their regular day-to-day operations, whether too much cash is being left in unproductive capacities. Why is it important for the business? Because it allows a company to examine how much credit it can extend to customers before it begins to have cash problems. Right? It means how much money they can lend to their customers. Let me show you one example. Let's read this example. For example, without setting a cash budget, spending $1 a day on the cup of coffee seems fairly unimpressive. However, upon setting up a cash budget to account for regular annual cash expenditure, this seemingly small daily expenditure comes out to an annual total of $365, which may be better spent on other things. If you frequently visit specialty coffee shops, your annual expenditure will be substantially more. Right, so having a cup of coffee a day would cost around $365 per year, right? And if the company has less liquidity or cash available, that same money can be saved and utilized for some other purpose, which could help the business, right? So how can this be achieved? Only with the help of cash budget. If if all these things are written in the cash budget, right, then one can examine the cash budget and do the cost cutting accordingly, unnecessary cost cutting, and that same money can be utilized at some other place, which helps the business. Clear? One second. Let me show you one example. Let me show you one example. No sound. Can all of you hear me? Prabha, others can hear me. I don't know why you are facing a sound problem. Is it better now? Is it better now? Okay. Go through this cash budget for the organization immersion manufacturing. Try to understand this. I'm just coming in a minute. Okay. Just excuse me for a second. Okay. In the meantime, just try to understand this. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Can I change my screen name? Uh, I'm not sure. Right click on your name and try to change. What is your name? The user with the name MBA class. Mohammed Niyaz. Okay. Right. So let's come back to the topic. Right. So this is the example of a cash budget. Here is an example of the cash budget showing the sources and uses of cash by week. This is for the first week, this is for the second week, this is for the third week, and this is for the fourth week. Suppose at the beginning of the week the cash available was $25,000. Right. So the sources of cash are cash sales 10,000, accounts receivables collected $1,80,000, asset sales $30,000. So total cash available with them were 2,45,000. Now where were the cashes being used? Right, so this 245 comes how? 180 plus 30, 210 plus 10, 220, 220 plus this 25, which makes $245,000. Right, now where they have spent the monies? In buying the materials, direct materials for $87,000. So they have subtracted 87,000. Labor cost 19,000, manufacturing overhead 29,000, selling and administrative purpose 35,000, asset purchases 20,000. Right, so total cash spent is 1,90,000. If you add them up, it will come out to be 1,90,000. So how much is left by the end of the week? 245,000 minus 190,000, which is equal to 55,000. Right, so net cash position at the end of the first week is 55,000. Clear? Clear, everyone? Okay. Now similarly, you can see for week 2, this same cash available at the end of the first week will be the same amount at the beginning of the second week. Right. Similarly, for week 2 they have shown, and then week 3 and week 4. So by the end of week 4, they have a loss of $35,000. Right, you can see minus 35,000, which means that they have a loss of $35,000. So they need to make cost cuttings in order to make this into positive. Niyas, you can do it in next class, right? I think it's not hampering your learning, right? So it's okay. Leave it. Leave as it is. Right. Now you can see. Now try to examine this cash budget. Right. This example shows that an inordinately large dividend payment in the second week of the cash budget, coupled with a large asset purchase in the following week, places the company in a negative cash position. Is it better now? Is it better now? One second. Is it better now? Is it fine? Can all of you hear me clearly? Yes or no? Now okay. Okay. Yes. So now we can examine this cash budget. How the company is in 35,000 loss. Now, can anyone tell me the reason where has the company spent more in the 4 weeks, which brought them in loss? Payment of dividend in which week? Second week. Yes, very good, Ramakrishnan. You can see this. This could have been avoided, right? If if the dividend to the investors was not given, then this then the company would not have been in loss, right? Right. So this is the use of cash budget statement. This shows an inordinately large dividend payment in the second week of the cash budget, coupled with a large asset purchase in the following week. Also, the asset purchase. Where is asset purchase? Uh, yes, this 50,000. This one. This could also have been avoided, right? If the company is already in loss, then these things could have been avoided. Clear, everyone? So this is how we examine the cash budgets. Paying out such a large dividend can be a problem for lenders who do not like to issue loans so that companies can use the funds to pay their shareholders and thereby weaken their ability to pay back the loans. Thus, it may be wiser for the company to consider a small dividend payment and avoid a negative cash position. Clear? So this is what cash budget is. This budget gives an estimate of the anticipated receipts and payments of cash during the budget period. Cash budget makes the provision for minimum cash balance to be maintained at all the times. Right. So the company what they does, they set up a minimum cash balance figure, right, below which they cannot go in order to avoid the negative balance. Yeah. The next is the most important budget, master budget. What is master budget? Anyone? See, a master budget is a set of interconnected budgets right? So in that all the budgets will come: the sales, the production cost, the purchase, the incomes, etc., right? So the components of a master budget has, let me write it down. What all things a master budget should have? All the budgets together, yes. To ascertain the performance of the company to a particular period, yes. Let me, yes. So a master budget should have all these things. So components of a master budget. Master budget has two major sections, which are the operational budget and the financial budget. So in operational budget, we have sales budget, production budget, direct material purchase budget, direct labor budget, overhead budget, selling and administrative expense budget, cost of goods manufactured budget, right? And in financial budgets, we have schedule of expected cash receipts from customers, schedule of expected cash payments to suppliers, cash budget, budgeted income statement, budgeted balance sheet. Right, so this is, now let me show you an example of how a master budget looks like. One second. Uh, you can also understand. One second. I'm unable to locate an example, right? You can Google it, you will find, right? So a master budget will have all these components, all these budgets, the details of all these budgets combined together. You can also learn it this way, and with the help of a flow chart. One second. Yes. Right. So you can also learn it this way. Right. All these, the combination of all these budgets makes a master budget. Sales budget, then production budget, cost of goods sold budget. In that we have to include labor budget, material budget, overhead budget, selling expense budget, administrative expense budget. Right. So you can also memorize it this way if you want. Let me try to find an example. No, it's not there. Right. So that is what master budget is. And last one is fixed budget. This is defined as a budget which is designed to remain unchanged irrespective of the volume of output or turnover attained. This budget will therefore be useful only when the actual level of activity corresponds to the budgeted level of activity. Right. So these type of budgets are fixed in the beginning only.